What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys and more Tottenham updates for you guys.
Why do we do it to ourselves? Sitting here every day talking about the most depressing club in the Premier League probably right now. We must be not unhappiest.
It's just who we are, mate. It's just who we are.
We must be the unhappiest club right now in the Premier League for sure, right?
They did a poll last year. We were the unhappiest club. Imagine what it is this year. Like, seriously.
How are we're more unhappy than Wolves fans. How is that possible? But that's definitely true, I would say.
I know. We're probably more unhappy than West Ham fans at the moment.
Definitely.
But we are 4 points above them for now. So, look, there's quite a bit to get through today, actually, and we're going to start off on a bit of positive news for you guys. Positive. And that is regarding injuries, because the Standard reported a couple of days ago saying there is optimism that Pedro Porro and Kevin Danso can both be back and available for Fulham. And Ali Gold reported today that Pedro Porro and Kevin Danso were both training this morning at Hotspur Way in line to potentially make their return this weekend. And they are so desperately needed, man. Both of them. Like Kevin Danso, we've seen Dragoshin obviously in the second half against Arsenal. I think Danso, before he got injured, was a very important player for us. Mm-hmm. And Pedro Porro, we all know what he brings, in build-up. And, we just need fullbacks as well. And to have him on the right flank will be imperative.
We just need players back. I think that's the main thing. But it definitely is a sign of the times when we're clamouring for our backup centre-back to get fit so we can use him. But in terms of Danso, obviously we heard he snapped a ligament in his toe. When we were looking up on it, people were saying potentially 2 to 3 months. But it seems as though maybe not as bad as maybe people are saying. Or obviously we don't know really the ins and outs of the injury. But it sounds like, I don't know if they're rushing him back, if they put an injection in him. I don't know what the situation is, but he's made himself available, it seems. He's back in training. We're going to need him in this run-in massively. And I think, obviously, even when Romero comes back, he'll be starting as well. So he needs to get up to speed with what Tudor wants from him. Obviously, he looked quite good in the back three, didn't he, when Frank was playing that system. But what do we do with... we'll start with centre-backs. What do we do with Danso back? Is it Dragoshin out? Is it Dragoshin in with Paulinho and with that three? Is it Van der Ven, Danso, Paulinho, do you think? Or
I think what he does do is different to what I want to happen. I think what he does do is probably Danso, Dragoshin, Van der Ven. I think that's just the kind of simple option. 3 split centre-backs, put them in. What I want to see happen is actually Kevin Danso, Mickey Van der Ven and Janai Byfeld. That's what I want to see happen.
Okay, but if Byfeld... Look, we're in a relegation scrap and we're talking about putting in a 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. We need players to get us out of that situation. Is Byfeld that guy?
I think he very well could be. I think that, look, I've spoken before about it's unfair to put like kids in a situation that we're in with the negativity surrounding us. But I feel putting Janai in there adds a bit of positivity from the stands. I think he's Tottenham through and through. I think he's got the skill set as well in terms of what we need from players in a back three. I don't think Dragoshin has that. So from that aspect, I would like to see him in the back three. I don't think he will put him in. This is just what I want. What I think will happen, like I mentioned before, I think will be Kevin Danso, Radu Dragoshin and Mickey Van der Ven.
Look, I wouldn't mind seeing it for a game just to see how it goes, see if it can inject some positivity or something, but I wouldn't expect it to go well, put it that way. But then again, what do I expect to go well right now? I think I wouldn't want to play Dragoshin. Honestly, I'd probably rather persist with Paulinho at centre-back than Dragoshin, to be honest, and keep Danso there, get Van der Ven there. I think Dragoshin needs moving on in the summer. I think that's the feeling I get. Unless we go down, maybe we can keep him because we might need him in the Championship. But yeah, I think,
mate, can you imagine that agent when we get relegated? Oh my God, he is going to be unbearable.
Honestly, I understand he's come back from an ACL, so you got to give him some grace. But I wasn't that impressed with him before then, to be honest. So I think when it comes to Dragoshin, I've not been impressed since he's come into the team. Danso has to come in. But yeah, I would want it to be with Paulinho with him. I think keep Paulinho there, albeit again he wasn't great on Sunday, was he? But I think going against Fulham, I think it would be a different test, won't it? We're not going to have as many fires to put out. When it comes to the wing back, yeah, I think Porro has to come back in because he's our only good passer. But it also kind of means we have to keep Spencer left wing back. Mm-hmm. which is not a great situation either.
It's not a great situation, but this is the situation we're in. We're not in a great situation. So this is who we have available. This is who we have fit. We don't have any natural left backs apart from Sousa, but clearly nobody thinks he's ready. And I think that was proven by the fact how we tried to get Andy Robertson the day after we signed him. So I don't think they're considering Sousa as an option from the get-go. I think we only used him to bring him on against Manchester United as a needs must in that situation. So I think the only real solution is to put Spence at left wing back and Porro at right wing back.
And I think, even though it's not great, I think it's still better than it would have probably been against Arsenal, because at least against Arsenal it was great, and it just meant we didn't really have a proper option on either side. At least now we'll have Porro there striding forward. He'll be able to provide an attacking option. You remember in his time at wing back, small time we saw him there under Conte. Yeah, it took him a bit of time to adjust, but near the end of that season he was getting quite regular goal contributions. I remember scored quite a few goals, getting in the box quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we're going to need that for sure.
Look, we know he's got that in his locker,
and he has to play. I don't think you can afford not to play. I'm thinking, do you put him at left wing back? I don't think that would solve any issues. I think you might as well keep him on the right. Although I would say Porro probably has a better, weaker foot than Spence does.
Maybe, but Spence has obviously had a lot more experience out on the left hand side. As much as we don't think he's the right candidate for that in the long term, he's had the most experience there. So keep him on the left, Porro on the right, and we see what happens.
Yeah, so vital we get those two players back, and going to need them in this run-in. But I wonder what condition they're coming back in, how if they're going to be fit to be fully fresh, match fit, all that kind of stuff. We know Porro has been overplayed, and that probably led to that injury. Danso had this snapped ligament in his toe, so let's just hope they're not being rushed. But I guess we need to rush them back right now because we're going down otherwise.
Exactly. So I don't think it's a case of we can't rush these players back, because we need points ASAP. And I think if we do go and win at Fulham this weekend, I know it's a big ask, but if we do go and win at Fulham, I think that does ease a lot of people's nerves in terms of, are we actually going to go down? Because I think every game is a cup final from now to the end of the season, right? And if we can just get a quick fire couple of wins, like against Fulham and against Crystal Palace, then I would probably say, it's not looking as likely as it is now, obviously.
Yeah, if we get a win and perhaps West Ham lose at Anfield, all of a sudden it's 7 points, and then you can breathe a bit. I think right now it's like the situation is dire. One loss and one win going the other way, and all of a sudden it's 1 point, and you could very well be in the relegation zone in any given week. So that situation, you're panicking. But if it goes to 7 points this weekend, you can breathe a little easier. And also I know, people will dismiss it, but I don't want to chuck away that Champions League. I want to try and play our best team if we can, and I don't want to be in a situation where we have to chuck it because we are so close to the relegation zone that we have to, the focus has to be on staying up. And I understand that's a likely situation, don't get me wrong, but I want to try and give it our all, because I think these players want to try and go as far as they can in that competition. They don't want to chuck it.
You can talk about chucking it all you want, but we don't even have the players and the personnel to even rotate in the Champions League and the Premier League. Who can you even rotate when we're talking about playing a weakened team in the Champions League? There is no chance he plays the kids in the Champions League. No chance at all. So we're talking about we have 3 or 4 fit players on the bench. So who are we chucking here?
Well, I guess we're a bit more now with two defenders coming back now. So we had what, three players on the bench on Sunday? Tell, Solanke, and Richarlison. So now you can add Porro and Danso to that. So all of a sudden it's starting to fill a bit. Yeah, but you're probably right. There's not, you can't really rotate much, can you?
Yeah, exactly. So look, that's the situation. At least we can bring you a bit of positive news today regarding the injury situation. I think the next ones back are probably not going to be until April, isn't it? It's going to be the likes of Bergvall and Kudus.
Yeah, maybe a doggy slightly earlier.
Yeah, you're right. I think a doggy actually could be back in March.
So he'll be probably the next one, and then you're looking at Bentancur and Kudus early April. Yeah. And I guess we'll have to wait. I guess are we just giving up on Decky and Maddison? I think at this point.
Look, I think if we ever get them back this season, it's just going to be considered as a bonus. I'm not even thinking about them. If they come back, great, they're back. But we can't rely on it. All right, let's talk about Maurizio Pochettino, because Alan Brazil on TalkSport this morning saying he was chatting to someone in the know at Spurs yesterday, and as of yesterday, they had not even spoken to Pochettino. I don't know what they're doing, he says. I don't think they even know what they're doing. He's talking about Tottenham. However, Nico Shearer, a journalist, not the most reliable journalist, but says that Pochettino has given his availability to return to Tottenham from July. Talks are ongoing, and the other main target is Roberto De Zerbi, who seems excited to return to the Premier League in a new adventure in the summer. So,
I mean, he's an awful journalist.
Yeah, I know.
Nico Shearer. So I wouldn't listen to anything he says. But in terms of Alan Brazil, he wouldn't really. I don't think he would say something unless that's true. So that's quite interesting. Albeit, it doesn't really surprise me that much because full focus at the moment has to be on staying up and trying to be in this division. Because I think if we go down, will Poch want to come here? Those are different scenarios. I think we need to kind of assess it in the summer. Obviously, I think. In a ideal world, you want to be planning for next season, don't you? You want to be thinking ahead and getting the ducks in a row for next season, getting your transfer plans in place for the summer, having the management situation sorted. But right now, it's hard to do that because we don't know what division we're going to be in, if we're all being honest. So it's hard to convince. Let's say you want to convince a manager to come now. It's hard to do that with the situation we're in. I think once we've cemented our Premier League status, then you can kind of sell the project to a manager and hopefully or Poch or whatever it is and say, look, from next season, we're going to be in a different way. We're going to have a different way to structure all these different things. You try and sell that to them. But right now, it's hard to plan for next season. And I think the problem is everyone else is planning for next season, probably, around the Premier League, because they're in much more stable conditions. And we're not because the situation we're in.
Yeah, but you need to plan for both eventualities, don't you? You can't just say, look, we'll wait and see what happens, and then you start planning. You need to plan for both eventualities from now. So I think those conversations do need to be happening with managers as of now. We need to be sounding out, look, come the end of the season, we need to appoint a manager fairly quickly, whether we're in the Championship or whether we're in the Premier League. So you kind of need to have both avenues kind of sorted for when it does happen.
It's not what the club do, is it?
That's the thing. That's the thing. We're always reactive to situations. We're never kind of seemingly. Well, they always talk a good game. They always say, yeah, we're planning ahead. I remember before the January transfer window in early as September, they were saying, Frank was like, yeah, we're having these conversations now. We're planning ahead for the January transfer window. Come the January transfer window, we sell Brennan Johnson on the first day of the window. We don't bring in a winger. So it always seems as though we don't have a plan when it actually comes to it. But as we're building up to that moment, they're always like bringing off like they've got this whole master plan, which never comes off. So whatever it is, we need to be planning for both eventualities right now. We can't just leave ourselves in the lurch and wait till the end of the season and then start planning then. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. They're not going to plan for being in the Championship. They're going to hope and pray with every fibre of their being that it doesn't happen and it doesn't come to be. And if it does happen, then they'll try and sort out that mess when it comes to it. I'm pretty certain of that. They're not going to line up Neil Warnock for next season, put it that way, in case we get relegated. You know what I mean?
Who do you think we do go for if we're in the Championship? So I don't think Pochettino returns if we're in the Championship. Is it going to be like a Ryan Mason or a Robbie Keane, someone like that?
I wouldn't be surprised if they try and get Robbie Keane out of Fenerbahce, and him. Keane will probably see it as an opportunity back to his favourite club and all that kind of stuff.
I would love to see Robbie Keane here if we're in the Championship.
Yeah, I think that's the.
I can't believe we're sitting here talking about.
I would love to be in the Championship, but
no,
if we are in the Championship, I'd like to see Robbie Keane. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think. It is like, obviously you want to, I would like to think they should be having conversations, but in terms of getting any agreements in place right now, it's probably impossible. Even players, managers, how can you make summer plans right now when we're in the situation we're in? It's now impossible.
And also the way you got to look at it is like with Alan Brazil talking to the people that he knows at the club. They know full well he's a reporter and a correspondent on TalkSport, right? So maybe they just want to keep their cards close to their chest about not having a conversation with Poch. Like, surely they've had a conversation with Poch, at least like an initial, just at least conversation to see if he's willing or not.
maybe for intermediaries, whether it's an actual conversation with him or not. To be fair, I think Poch doesn't have an agent, actually, does he? So it would be with him, wouldn't it? I would be surprised if there has been zero contact, put it that way.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Regarding Mickey van der Ven, Team Talk, obviously not the most reliable source, is saying that Real Madrid are understood to be closely monitoring Tottenham's central defender Mickey van der Ven, as Mickey is not close to agreeing any sort of contract renewal with Spurs, which is obviously no surprise. And I would not be surprised if a team like Real Madrid come calling for him in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know Mickey. It's obvious at the moment that he's probably going to try and look for pastures new in the summer, whatever happens at the end of this season. And it's whether we can get probably the best value or a new manager can kind of change his mindset. But if big clubs like Madrid are coming in for him, it's going to be hard for us to convince him to stay.
The thing is, right, like I compare the situation to Jan Vertonghen under AVB and then Sherwood. He looked so disinterested in that season. And then Pochettino comes in and obviously turned into Vertonghen into one of our best central defenders in the Premier League era. However, the situations are different, aren't they? Because Vertonghen looked disinterested in a team fighting for European football at the time. We finished 6th that season. Mickey van der Ven has finished, I know he's won the Europa League, but he's finished 17th. And this season it looks even more likely that we're going to get relegated. So can a Pochettino kind of sway Mickey like he did with Vertonghen if we do stay up, or is Mickey just completely a lost cause in terms of his belief at Tottenham now?
It's hard to really know. I'd like to think there is some movement there, but given how badly this club has been run, I think it's a different also kettle of fish there. I think under Vertonghen, when we had Vertonghen and Sherwood came in, all was kind of tough. Yeah, we were a bit of a mess, but we were still seen as, a club punching above their weight a bit and doing all right, I
remember it was crisis then. Like, this is that's nothing to what we are in now.
No, I understand. Yeah. It was we were a mess even then, but it didn't need a lot, did it, to turn it around and get us back to challenging for 4th place. And we spent a lot of money on, so we sold Bale and bought all those players. And understand that was in hindsight, the players we signed were awful, but at the time, we were looking to sign all these players to big money and improve things. And it, AVB turned out couldn't keep the job, and Sherwood came in, all this kind of stuff. We were a mess, but you just got also he'd been there 18 months at that point or 2 years. So what's it called? Well, if Poch was just the right voice at the right time at that point, whereas with Van der Ven here, you've got Romero calling out the board. You've got so much mess and chaos going on at board level. It's now been well established over many, many years about this hierarchy. This isn't like a new thing. You've got the fans calling out, social media, all this kind of stuff. I think back then with Vertonghen and Sherwood, it wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. So I think Van der Ven looks at that situation thinking, I think when Vertonghen was there, it was kind of like, a different manager maybe can turn it around. Whereas is Van der Ven thinking that? Yeah. He's probably heard the spiel from a few different managers now, and no one has been able to steady the ship, and kind of everyone's accepted the problems are above the manager, like in terms of the main problems are above the manager rather than anything else. So I think that feeling has definitely seeped into the dressing room, given people liking Romero's post and all that.
What if come the end of the season, Vinay and Lange both lose their jobs and there is another kind of major shift at boardroom level?
I don't think that's going to convince anyone. It would have to. That's not enough for a player to say, okay, they're on the right track. That's just, okay, they've lost their jobs because they needed to. It doesn't mean anything's going to get better. They need to have proof of that. Now, if we forced Mickey to stay and they lost their jobs and all of a sudden things did get better, then all of a sudden there's a conversation for him to be happy here. But I think while the situation is, we've got everything to prove at the moment as a club that we actually can run sensibly and properly, and there's no proof of that at the moment. And just sacking Vinay and Lange isn't proof that we're running anything properly. It's just proof that we can understand that those two were horrible appointments. Doesn't mean we're going to get the next appointments right. Yeah. So I don't think that's enough, to be honest. If we sack them, hire some guys, and maybe get a proper like maybe Poch, maybe like a Nagelsmann or something, convince them to come in and get some serious signings early through the door, before the World Cup or something, and then we send the signal to Mickey, look, we were serious when we meant, we're going to rip up the wage structure, like we are going to start running things properly, maybe, but right now I don't see any of that happening, and I think Mickey's probably made up his mind at this point, I would say.
Yeah, probably right about that. Well, that's depressing. Let's talk about Vicario, because Gazzetta dello Sport saying that Juventus have opened discussions with Tottenham's Italian goalkeeper Guillermo Vicario. However, the Serie A club are also interested in Liverpool's Brazilian international Alisson, as he'll be their first choice transfer target if it did become obvious that he was available in the summer. We know that Liverpool have got Mamardashvili, who's waiting in air to be the replacement for Alisson. But yeah, it seems as though there's a lot of interest in Italy for Vicario, and this is probably his last season, I suppose.
Yeah, obviously he did very well in Serie A, didn't he? Which is why we signed him. And then obviously his first couple of years at Tottenham weren't bad. I think this season it's gone really downhill quite sharply. I think in his first 2 years he had his moments, didn't he? But I think by and large he was pretty stable. Everyone was pretty comfortable with him. I think this season it's just really nosedived. I don't know what it is, whether it's a lack of confidence or his flaws are really being exposed or what it is, but something's definitely happened with him this season. Whether he's been disillusioned himself, which has led to bad performances, it's hard to put your finger on it. But I think if he goes back to Italy, it's a place where he's better respected. He's obviously been part of the Italy squads in recent international breaks, so clearly they still rate him over there. So, I mean, it'd be incredible if he fails upwards and goes to a Juve or something, but yeah, I think Tottenham are going to start looking at a new keeper definitely in the summer.
The guy's highly rated in Italy. He's the number 2 under Donnarumma. At the time that we signed him, or even a year after, people were saying, he needs to be getting more minutes for the national team. I think when you're looking at his performances this season, obviously they've gone down from the last couple of years, but still the last couple of years did happen, and he proved that he can be a good goalkeeper. So I don't think he's a terrible goalkeeper like everyone's saying. I still think he's a decent goalkeeper. He's only 29, goalkeepers are supposed to last a lot longer than that. If you're looking at his performances, look at everyone's performances. Everyone's performances have nosedive. Van de Ven's performances have nosedive. Romero has had his crazy moments this season where he's cost us goals and stuff like that. So all our top performers, all our top players, they've all decreased in performance this season.
I agree, but I would say with Vicario, I feel like his flaws that were noticed in the earlier seasons have really been exacerbated this season. And it's like there were a few things that were said about him, like last season, about how he's got a little composure. He's too amped up all the time. His kicking is awful, but we kind of overshadowed them for a lot of the last couple of years. But this season, it's like those flaws have really been exposed massively, and they haven't gone away. So whether those flaws are ever going to be, are they always going to be part of his game, or can they be eradicated? Who knows? But that's kind of the issue. I don't think he's a bad keeper, but I don't think he's our main problem whatsoever. I don't think he would be, priority number 1, put it that way. But I think he would be on the list. I think there'll be other priorities ahead of him, but he would be on the list to upgrade for sure, because I think, well, to be fair, I would say where we want to be, we need better, but where we are now, he's probably all right. But I think long term, you just want someone with a bit more composure, and that's it, I guess. Just someone who's not going to cause panic all the time. And I think he just does that a bit too much.
Yeah, I guess the goalkeeper market, it's not great though at the moment, is it? You're thinking about who can we bring in at the required level that's an upgrade on Vicario right now. I mean, I don't think you could probably pick 3 or 4 goalkeepers off the top of your head that can come in, that we can get, that is even definitely going to be better than Vicario.
Well, that's where the scouting comes in.
Yeah, and we know how they should. But I mean, we all know about the recruitment at this football club hasn't been good enough for a long time. So
I know, but I mean, we can't say we should never sign anyone because the recruitment's awful.
No, I'm not saying not sign anyone, but I'm saying, can we trust them to even sign a better goalkeeper than Vicario? Are we going to sign a better goalkeeper than Vicario?
We can't trust this club to do anything.
We all said, can't sell Brennan Johnson unless we bring in someone better. We end up bringing no one.
Yeah.
So
Trafford, someone says, get him in. Maybe he's a better long-term solution. Is he better than Vicario now? Maybe not.
I think Vicario right here, right now is better than Trafford.
But is he better long term? And is it worth it?
If we go down, we should get Trafford.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, the thing is, everywhere you look at it at the moment, it all comes back to, can you trust this club to do anything right? And the answer is always no.
Exactly.
Like, sack this manager, but can you trust the club to get another manager? Sell this player, but can you trust the club to sign anyone better? It's like, well, we're never going to do anything then.
If we do go down, though, it's probably going to be Kinski will be our number one next season, and Austin is backup. But anyway, I prefer not to think about going down, albeit there is nothing more to think about right now. But the last bit of the update, this was put out there the day after the North London derby, and this is Tottenham's PR machine in full effect coming out. Literally, the day after the North London derby, this gets reported by The Guardian saying, in the event Tottenham stay in the Premier League, they are expected to rip up their approach to the wage structure, acknowledging they have underinvested there for too long. The 35 million signing of Conor Gallagher from Atletico Madrid on wages of about £200,000 a week is regarded as a significant turning point inside the club. The midfielder is now the highest paid player on the books, and more big signings are expected at the end of the season, assuming Spurs stay in the Premier League. This bloody PR machine, man. They don't stop. They don't stop. Like, it's so obvious something like that was going to come out the day after losing 4-1 to Arsenal.
Spurs are set to let loose the purse strings in the summer if they remain in the Premier League, and set to have the biggest summer of their lives.
You know what I mean? Like, how many times have we heard shit like this year in, year out,
always
after a bad moment, after a bad loss, you know?
Take no notice.
It's like clockwork, you know? And like for a few years, like, people fall for it. We've fallen for it. We've reported on it. But no more, man. It's the same shit every time. Like, how many times can people fall for this crap?
Contrary to popular opinion, we're not in this situation right now because we don't pay the wages. That's not why we're in this situation.
Yeah.
Because if it was purely a wage issue, then we would be sixth in the Premier League right now. And we would be in a much better position. As much as we don't pay wages compared to the top teams, 100%, and if we're looking to battle them, we need to increase the wage structure. We are not in a relegation battle because we need to pay more wages. That's not why we're in a relegation battle. We're in a relegation battle because of how badly this club is run. Well,
you look at our wage bill compared to the teams in and around us in the relegation battle, we trump all of them, you know? I think it was said on that podcast I was listening to, Sunderland have a wage bill of like less than half of what we have.
Yeah.
And look what they are in the league. You know what I mean? So compared to the rest of the league, not taking the top six into account, we pay big wages.
Exactly. And look, the wages is why we're not in a title race or battling for top four.
Yeah.
The wages is not why we're in a relegation battle. We're in a relegation battle because the recruitment has been horrendous from the Lang and Vinay. The management selection has been horrendous. When it came to hiring Thomas Frank, the processes are not in place. In terms of everyone being on the same page with Paratici and hiring Heitinga for 33 days and then getting rid of him, all these different things, all these messes, not giving the playing staff adequate backup in January when we're in desperate need because of injuries, all the medical staff not seemingly knowing what they're doing and the constant injuries we're getting. All this stuff is why we are currently in a relegation battle. It's not because we need to break the wage structure to get out of this situation. That's not going to solve it. What we need is better scouting, better recruitment, and better squad planning. Our squad planning is now and has always been absolutely horrendous. It's terrible. And I think January was evidence of that. The only signing we made was the only position in the whole squad we actually had depth in, and that was.
And we break our wage structure to do that.
And we may play exactly. It's absolutely nuts. And when it comes to squad planning, we never target players we need and profiles we need in specific scenarios. We're always asking managers to make do with anything they can get, essentially. We never proactive in the market and proactive with our decision making. We're always very reactive to either fan sentiment or whatever it is, results. We're very, very reactive. We don't plan. We never when we look at the overall squad, we never get what we truly need. We're always kind of settling for different things, and it's always been the case. I remember, a very clear example back in like when we had Mourinho, like we had all our strikers out injured for long-term injuries, and we ended up getting Bergwijn, who was a winger, like as our only signing, because that's the only thing the only thing we could afford or whatever. We weren't willing to pay the money for these other strikers, so we ended up getting a player we didn't really need just to get a body in. So I felt like that's the same with Gallagher. It's like we have all these players out, and yet we just felt like let's get Gallagher because that's the only one he's available. So even though we don't need him, let's just get him. It's constantly a problem at this football club, and they can spout all they want about we're going to break the wage structure. Who's going to come to us on big wages? Who can we attract if we go down? But that's a separate issue. But if we stay up, let's say we finish 17th and we go up the Champions League in the next round, who are we actually going to attract on massive wages? Who we actually want? Who can we convince to come here? Because all the players on big wages are probably going to be competing with other teams for them. And especially if it's a top 6 team, how are we going to put our hat in the ring right now and say, yeah, you need to, we're going to come here? Let's say a Semenyo level player, how are we going to get them? A Prem proven player. We're going to have to be smart this summer when it comes to recruitment. I don't see any chance we're signing players for big money, Prem proven players, put it that way, from other Premier League teams for big money and being able to convince him to come.
The only way that it's possible to do so is if you have a good manager in place. If you have a good manager and you're willing to pay top wages, then there's a possibility that you can sell a project there. If you can sell a project, you can get good players in. However, if we're just trudging along like we have been over the last year or this season, and we're still in a terrible state come the summer, which we probably will be, then there's no chance you can convince anyone to come. But I genuinely believe if Pochettino was to come in, I think that's starting to look like a bit exciting with Pochettino coming back to the club because of the job that he's done previously at the club.
Yeah, that's a start. But we offered we offered Semenyo a bigger wage packet than City did. Didn't make a difference, did it?
Yeah,
same with
Guehi. That's different.
Him.
That's a different situation. Like, you're talking about Man City here, first of all, and second of all, you're talking about Tottenham under Thomas Frank. Mm-hmm. And Tottenham under Thomas Frank, nobody was excited about us, particularly at that moment in January. Like, we were sinking. Nobody was looking at Tottenham in January being like, that's a club I want to go to. But maybe if Pochettino's there, that could flip a little bit.
But here's the problem: we finished 17th, and we're going to be probably finishing 17th in 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. So a top player, even if Pochettino's at the helm, they'll probably want to see it work for a bit before they commit any sort of long-term future.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about. Look, that you can definitely get players. I'm not saying it's impossible to get any player. I'm talking about those real ambitious signings that everyone wants. I think those ones are going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
I think you could still probably put your hat in the ring when it comes to trying to get in ahead of a lot of teams in the Premier League, because we could offer, I think money talks in a lot. But when it comes to any Premier League proven signings that we're competing with the top teams for, they ain't coming. They ain't going to come in the summer. Maybe all January or in a year's time, we can have that conversation. But right now, ain't going to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But I guess, we do have talent at the club, and it's not kind of beyond all realms of possibility. A good manager can whip these guys into shape and, as Tudor says, whip out those kind of bad habits in their game and get confidence back into them. Because I genuinely believe, with the squad that we have now, at their fullest potential, they can be in a top 6 battle. They really can be. So
everyone's fit, yeah.
If we have a fully fit squad and they have confidence in them, they've ripped out those bad habits under a good manager, they could be fighting for the European spots in this league. I have no doubt about that. So that's what a manager needs to prove, that he can get that out of these lot.
I agree. And I think we've got a lot more talent than people give us credit for. I think right now, situation is just so dire with the football we've been playing for a lot of the season, and now the injuries that are in this squad. It's so hard to get more out of these players. We know we need to. We're desperate to. It's very, very difficult to do that. But once we have options again, and once we have a manager who is a bit more adventurous and gets us more on the front foot, I think you'll see these players with a bit more confidence, and you'll see a different side to them. But right now, it's difficult to see that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tottenham PR machine in full swing yet again after the North London derby, which was just tragic. But we got a super chat here. Who's this from? Serenhook saying, Ange is a big reason we're in this mess. He had just 10 good league games in the first season and he was responsible for injuries, sacking medical staff. I don't actually think he sacked Jeff Scott. I think Jeff Scott left because of a disagreement that they had. But yeah, I think it was due to an altercation with Ange. And yeah, with the injuries, obviously I was very adamant that he was responsible for a lot of the injuries that we had, and I think he was responsible for some of the injuries that we had, but you can't put every single injury down to him.
I mean, he's been gone for however long now. How can he be responsible for where we're now?
Yeah,
it's a ridiculous suggestion. No, I don't have. I'm not having that. He was responsible for the situation we're in last season. I think he'll probably concede that. Obviously, the injuries were there, but there's all different reasons why the injuries happened. Partly him, partly other things. For a lot of them, a lot of them were unlucky. A lot of them were hamstring injuries. There's no getting away from that. Some of them he rushed back as well when he shouldn't have and made mistakes. Last season happened, and we end up winning the Europa League. But for sure, the league form tanked. But this season, it's got nothing to do with Ange.
Yeah,
Ange is well removed from the situation now. It's all down to the mismanagement, bad hiring of Frank, the lack of activity in the January window, especially. Now, the level of injuries we do have now, which again, you could probably say the same thing. Some are probably down to Frank, some are probably unlucky as well. That's a similar situation. You could probably, there's blame to be led everywhere with these kinds of injuries. Are some down to physios, probably, or the medical staff? Are some down to Frank overplaying certain players when we had options, probably as well?
Definitely.
So there's blame to be had all round. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's all on Frank either that we're in this situation, but definitely the way he had us playing, and I think the lack of belief he gave these players, and the constant negative messaging about how they're not that good. Remember, you're 17th. We're going to be pragmatic. We're going to play. He'd set us up like we were a small team, and we started playing like one. And now we're in the position of one. And I think definitely that is a big factor of why we're here where we are. But obviously the injuries, I think right now are the biggest problem at this club in terms of trying to get points on the board. We just need these players back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when people try and point fingers, and I did it enough last season, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's ever a case of it's all just one person's fault. And that wasn't the case last season when I was going on about it. It's not the case now. It's always, there's always slices of the pie to give out, isn't there? And I think this season's definitely a case of it. Last season was a case of it, and every season is a case of it. So last season wasn't all on Ange. This season isn't all on Frank. It's not all on the medical team. It's not all on the players. Everyone has got to take a slice of the pie. And I think this season, in terms of the way we're playing, obviously a big slice of that is down to Thomas Frank. But in terms of the injuries, last season and this season, everyone's got to take a slice of the blame.
Absolutely, but at the end of the day, the reason we're here is the actual reason is the hierarchy, and we should never get away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that is that super chat. On the Champions League, actually, let's get into the Champions League situation, because Atletico Madrid absolutely smashed Club Brugge last night, 4-1 in Bruges after the 3-3 draw that they had in the first leg. So Atletico Madrid are through, and they are definitely one of the teams that we could be facing in the next round. It looks like it will be one of Atletico or Galatasaray. Galatasaray were 5-2 up from the first leg, so it's going to take a mammoth comeback from Juventus tonight. It is in Turin, so there is a possibility.
I do believe Juve are, I think, on a 5-match losing streak there or something. So, look, it's unlikely, but you never know. As you say, it is in Turin. I think Galatasaray are nowhere near as good away from home as well, are they, than they are at home. So, if Juve get an early goal, go 1-0 up, you wouldn't rule that out. They've got quality players.
Yeah.
But obviously Galatasaray heavy favourites for sure.
Yeah. So at this moment in time, then it looks like it's one of those two clubs, Galatasaray or Atletico. It could very well be Atletico or Juventus, but I wouldn't bet against Galatasaray in this situation. So what that means is the draw happens on Friday, I think 11 a.m. So our pathway is going to be set from the last 16 all the way to the final. And it's going to be an interesting day. We'll be bringing it to you. We'll be live streaming the draw for you on Friday. So who would you prefer, Galatasaray or Atletico?
Definitely Galatasaray. I'm trying to ascertain what would be an easier side of the draw. But the thing is, Atletico is probably an easier side of the draw. So if you get Atletico, you probably got more chance of an easier route for further in terms of who's actually involved. Obviously, we don't really know the sides yet because the draw hasn't been made, so we don't know about Bayern, Arsenal, City, Sporting, Chelsea, Barca, who's on which side. But in terms of the round of 16, we do know that. And so I do think the round of 16 teams probably on Atletico side of the draw are a bit less quality. You got Boda, Leverkusen, Newcastle, as opposed to potentially PSG, Real Madrid, Dortmund. So
see, out of all those teams that you mentioned, so Leverkusen are 0-0 with Olympiacos. I think that's probably a tie that we could potentially do something in. Boda, I think we get battered by Boda now, to be honest, seeing how they're playing. They completely wiped Inter Milan, 5-1 on aggregate. They smashed Man City a couple of weeks ago as well. I think Boda beat us. Atletico, I think they probably beat us. Newcastle, they probably beat us. Dortmund, obviously, we've shown we can beat them this season. And then Real Madrid, PSG.
Galatasaray, the other one.
Yeah, Real Madrid and PSG will obviously beat us, and Galatasaray will be a hard game, but I think we probably can get through it, but I just don't think we will get through it. So there's not many teams that we can beat left in the Champions League.
Yeah, I think, well, look, the current form we're on. I think, to be fair, the Champions League has been fairly good to us, albeit we've had a fairly kind draw at the moment. But we did prove, when we played Dortmund at home, like even though they've only lost one game this season, yet we wiped the floor with them pretty comfortably, even though we were injury ravaged at the time. Although they did go down to 10 men early, but even before that, we were fairly dominant. So I do think you got to realise there is a big chasm in between Premier League and other European leagues at the moment.
Yeah. However, when you're looking at the way the draw is set up, as someone mentions in the comments here, we can play Juve or Galatasaray or Atletico in the next round, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to the quarters, I believe we can play Barca, PSG, Chelsea or Newcastle. I mean, I don't think we beat any of those guys.
Barca, PSG, Chelsea, Newcastle when it gets to the quarters, either way, yeah.
So I think the quarters is the max that we can get to this season.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we were to win either tie in any of those games. Although we did give PSG a couple of good games, but you wouldn't back yourself to win either.
I think PSG in the group phase to PSG in the knockout phase will be a different kettle of fish.
Well, we saw that last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
When they didn't qualify for top 8, they went on winning the whole thing. Chelsea.
Nah,
I wonder if that would be an interesting game.
Don't even, Sim.
Chelsea we ain't are nothing special.
Chelsea are nothing special. What are Spurs?
Yeah,
they're a lot better than us, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, fair. Look, we're not a good team, I know that. I'm not saying we're going to be favourites.
When is the last time we haven't lost to Chelsea?
When was the last time we did lose? It was under Conte, probably.
You know what I mean? Like, there is no chance we're beating Chelsea in a Champions League. No chance.
And then there's Barca, who play handball, pretty much, but with better players.
Yeah.
Newcastle, I mean, we've played them twice. We've played them 3 times this season, haven't won any of them. But they've all been fairly close games, I think.
All those teams beat us, I'm telling you. All those teams beat us. Every single one of them.
Look, we're awful, so of course they're all going to be favourites, but we seem to show a different side to us in Europe.
Yeah, and if we play against an English team, it'll be like an English tie, won't it? So I don't even think it's going to be like a Champions League style game.
Never know when we play.
Because the reason the English teams are so much better than the European teams is because of the physicality. If we play the English teams, they'll have that physicality.
It's true.
So we're not going to be beating an English team.
So you'd rather play Barca rather than Newcastle or Chelsea?
No. I mean, like I said, I don't think it matters. I think we're out in the quarters max. I don't think we beat any of those 4 teams.
Yeah, we're probably not going to.
Out of those 4 teams, I probably want Newcastle, but I don't think Newcastle probably get there. I think probably Chelsea beat Newcastle.
Actually, I reckon Newcastle beat them. I think
so
in the
sure.
Champions League, on 2 legs, I think Newcastle beat them.
I don't think so.
I think they do.
Why?
Because Chelsea are not that great, and Newcastle.
Neither are Newcastle.
I know, but Newcastle will really up their game. I feel.
And Chelsea won't.
No, I
Why
don't think
not?
they will. Because I haven't seen that under Rosenior. I've seen Newcastle do it.
But you haven't seen enough games from Rosenior, though. Like,
Just saying, since Rosenior's come in, there's nothing really. Like, I haven't seen anything special yet. Like Newcastle, on their day, they can really up their game and give anyone a game.
but they haven't really shown that this season too much. Like, they played 2 legs over Man City and they got battered pretty much. Like, Newcastle of the past, the last season, the year before, fine, but this season they haven't really shown that ability to up their game on the odd occasion.
If they've got Joelinton, Tonali, Bruno all fit, I reckon they beat them. I reckon they beat them.
I think Chelsea will win, but yeah, it'll be a tight tie for sure.
It could be, but Newcastle, Barca, to be fair.
Yeah, and Barca will wipe the floor with Newcastle.
What was the score early in the season they played there? I think Barca won, didn't they?
Yeah,
Was it 4-1?
I can't remember the score.
They beat him at St James's. Yeah, Rashford scored twice, I think, didn't he?
Oh, that game, yeah. It was a bit of an I think Newcastle started the game well and then Barca just took control, didn't they?
Yeah. What side of the draw? Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? But probably want to be on. Probably want to be on the Atletico side. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter at all. It really does not matter at all. Probably the side that gives us the most glamour tie. At least it gives us something to look forward
You'd
to.
rather go Istanbul or Madrid?
Istanbul.
Istanbul.
I love that trip to Istanbul, man. I've been to both those. Obviously, we were there at Champions League final, and Istanbul. I was there last season. So, both great trips, both great cities. But I just side with Istanbul. I love that trip. I want to go again.
Yeah, I know. I missed out on it last time.
Yeah, it was 2-1 to Barca.
Was it just 2-1?
Yeah, but look, that's the Champions League permutations. Obviously, on Friday it'll become more clear our pathway to Budapest, but we'll bring it to you as and when that does happen. But let's move on and let's react to some more of your comments, people. I think a lot of these were taken off the panel show yesterday, so let's get into it.
There's a panel show, a North London derby weekend, which a lot of people weren't very happy about. But Neo Clockwork Orange says relegation is the only guaranteed way for Romero and Van der Ven and others to escape ENIC. The greatest mistake in analysing Spurs is the erroneous assumption that our top players are trying to stay up. By contrast, the Hammers and Forest players are all in on the fight to stay up.
See, this is what I've kind of been alluding to over the past couple of weeks. Like, I don't think our players seem up for the fight, and we know how difficult Spurs have made it in the past for our top players to leave. Look at the Harry Kane saga. Look at every saga, long, drawn out. Romero wanted to leave in the summer. He ended up signing a new contract. Maybe that's a bit of a different one, but we just make it so hard for our players to leave. And I'm not sitting here saying that they want us to get relegated, but I think there is something in the back of their mind saying, well, if we do get relegated, it's going to be a lot more easier for me to leave this club and leave this shit show.
So subconsciously, you think it could affect them?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a case for it. I would hate to think that's part of what's going on. I guess we'll never know. We'll never know until.
Because if you're Mickey Van der Ven, right? Mickey Van der Ven's got 3 years left in his contract. Like, if Spurs have their way, that we have no reason to let him go in the summer. Like, we could force him to stay at the club. Yeah, money fine, but we want our best players to stay at the football club more than anything else. So we've seen with Spurs in the past, I know it was under Daniel Levy, that we'll reject bigger offers for them not to go to Premier League clubs and stuff and trying to force our best players to stay. With Mickey Van der Ven, that's what they'll try and do. They'll try and force him to stay. Even if he wants to leave, they'll say, oh, just give it another year. We'll convince you. If we go down, that decision is taken out of their hands completely.
I understand that. But I understand the logic, but I think, I don't know if it's sound logic. Like, I don't know if it's actually true or just, you can look at the situation and read it that way because of how badly we're tanking. But is there any truth to it? It's hard, you won't know really till the end of the season. If we fought tooth and nail to stay up and we end up staying up comfortably, then it's bullshit, right? But if we go down and we go down meekly and don't really put up a good fight, then there's truth to it. But right now, it's hard to really say.
What if we stay up and it's like a kind of, we've just limped over the line and players haven't seen up for it. We've just got 2 or 3 wins here and there and we just about stay up, you don't really get your answer there.
Yeah, I guess. But I think if we stay up comfortably, then they're obviously going to wanting to stay up. I think it's hard one to judge right now in the situation. I do think within the club and everything, this threat of relegation hasn't been taken that seriously. So in terms of whether we actually think we're going down, like this whole concept of these players want to go down to leave, when I don't think it's even been considered about it around the club a lot of the time that we are going to go down until maybe recently. So now we're really going to see if they're determined to stay up or not, in my opinion. So I don't think I don't think we've seen that yet.
Yeah, look, like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that these players actively want to go down and they're trying to get the club relegated so they can move on easier. All I'm saying is that it could be a kind of thing in the back of their mind where, relegation isn't the worst thing in the world because of how easy it will be for them to leave.
Right. But again, we won't know that again till later. James Dunn says, did Ariane say he is worried about being mid-table? I dream of mid-table now. I go to sleep dreaming of 10th place, mate.
Mate,
my
back
God.
in the day,
Back
mate.
in the heights. Taking back to the 90s, mate. We were finishing 10th and 11th galore. I would take that. I'd love that right now.
We're also in plenty of relegation battles as well. Well, not plenty, but a couple.
When was the last time we were actually in a relegation battle as bad as this, though?
When Klinsmann came in to save us, probably.
Yeah, was it even as bad as this when Klinsmann
Yeah,
came
it was. He saved us with a couple of games to go, or maybe even on the last day.
So what, we were 4 points?
Yeah, we were down there, man. We were in the mix, big time.
Were we ever in the relegation zone?
We might have been at some point. I can't remember it exactly, but I know it was a serious threat.
Okay, so that's what, 95?
98.
98?
Yeah. It was the second time he came back under Christian Gross.
So that was the last time?
I think that was the last time, yeah.
Because I remember once we were in a semi-relegation battle under like David Pleat. I was in like 2004, but we were never really. I think we were safe with like 4 games to go or something.
No, 98 was a serious threat. A serious threat.
So I'm saying but it's one season you're talking about.
Yeah.
So in terms of like you say like regular relegation battles, like.
No, I corrected it and said a few.
But I'm saying even a few. We
Yeah.
had one. Well, when was it? How often have we ever had one as bad as this one?
I think only one other time, and that was 98.
What's Wolfsfire saying? He says 94 Spurs finished 15th out of 22 teams. Premier League lowest in the EPL era, maybe since 1977. That's 94. He said, but so 94 so 98 we didn't finish as low as 15th.
I'm going to get the league table up just to see where we actually finished that season. So we actually finished 14th. We finished 4 points above the drop on 14th.
That's in when?
98.
98. So
Yeah.
14th.
Yeah, but 4 points above the drop.
Yeah. So it was close.
Yeah.
But there's still three teams between us and the relegation.
Yeah, I believe, wasn't that that was the season when Klinsmann scored 4 goals away at Wimbledon, didn't they? And I can't
How
remember.
close were we to relegation in 94?
What, 93, 94?
So someone says that's where we finished the lowest.
93, 94. We finished 15th
And
on 45 points. Yeah, 3 points from the drop.
So that was the closest we've been.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of relegation battles as bad as this. But even those ones you're talking about, we finished 3 and 4 points. And right now we're 4 points, and it could get lower. It could get worse.
Could get worse.
Could get better, but yeah.
But I'm sure maybe in these seasons we were closer than that at some point.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if we're actually in the relegation zone at any point. God. Anyway, take me back to mid-table. Take me back.
Just trying to see this 97-98 season because I remember like being pretty close to it. So
anyone in the chat know, were we ever in the relegation zone in 97-98?
Doesn't give me.
It doesn't give you the table.
Oh, here.
Oh.
So game week 37, we were still 4 points. Game week 36.
Spurs own goal says no, we were never in the relegation zone.
Yeah, we were never in the relegation zone. But it looked close. When was that game that I wonder, does anyone know in the comments, when was that game where we won like 6-2 or 6-3 or something away at... So this was the closest we probably were. Match week 35, we were 17th and 2 points from the drop. Imagine that, game week 35.
We just drew to Barnsley, who were in 18th. Wow,
yeah.
What a point. Battling point.
Colin Calderwood and Ramon Vega got sent off with 25 minutes to go.
I saw another, I was watching a TikTok of a guy like on TikTok, Lucas, and he was asked the question that I was asking: Do we celebrate if we stay up last day of the season? Is that a celebration worthy?
It depends what you call celebration. Like, do we pitch invade? I'm not pitch invading.
I
probably will, to be fair, but just to get on the pitch, not for celebration.
But if you're celebrating out of relief, is that
oh wow,
acceptable?
Anything's acceptable. If you want to celebrate, go and celebrate. We're not the celebration police around here. You know what I mean? Like, you do what you feel is right. Yeah, of course it's embarrassing, but it's embarrassing to be in this situation. So they're causing us to be embarrassing.
What's it called? Parade?
Parade.
Celebration.
Open top bar.
Parade.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Survival open top bus.
So in that season, game week 33, we were 1 point above the drop.
Okay, wow.
We were in 17th, 1 point above Bolton.
With 4 games to go.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
And we had just lost to Chelsea 2-0.
Jesus.
So yeah, you could say that season we were definitely very close to the drop.
What if we score a last minute winner to keep us up? That's got to be enough. That's got to be.
It'll be scenes. It'll be scenes at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
yeah,
but like.
It's got to be scenes.
It'll be scenes, but like it's embarrassing scenes. You know what I mean?
Embarrassing scenes.
Like seriously, like we would be getting clowned upon, but we're in a situation where it's gonna become like one of the biggest games in our recent history. Like that is a massive game. Yeah. Like when I spoke about yesterday about the permutations about potentially getting relegated, like relegation could cause this club to go into ruins. You know, God. It really could do. So we're talking about like seriously saving like the recent future of this football club.
Yeah, it is that bad. Alfie B Studios says, Tottenham fan here, and I don't think I've ever felt so miserable watching your content. I think that's...
We've never felt so miserable giving you content, people. Like, this is dire straits. Like, every day is depression.
That was a well-timed comment, considering we're just going through all our relegation battles. Yeah, honestly, it's a miserable time being Tottenham fans. But you know what? We're miserable together. We're a community. We look after each other. We know how you feel. That's how
someone in the comments just said, oh, God, this relegation chat is dark.
It really is. But this is where we're at. We have to get used to it.
So in match week 15 in that season, we were in the relegation zone, but that's only match day 15. Who put us in the relegation zone? Palace.
We've been in the relegation zone before, like back when when Wanda Ramos was our manager. We were in the relegation.
That was 2 points from 8 games.
Yeah.
That was like, I guess 8 games, 15 games. What's the difference?
JC Anyam says, as a Liverpool supporter, I'm really, really worried about Spurs. The table does not lie. Spurs are too good to go down on paper, but on the pitch, the team are not too good to go down. I don't know where their next win is coming from. That's from a Liverpool fan. We've got Liverpool fans worried for us.
Appreciate your concern, my friend. But I'm worried. I'm so worried, man. Like, literally, after that Arsenal game, my thought was just, I couldn't even care about, in that moment, like that game did not matter. What mattered is about the situation that we're in right now, and that is in a serious threat of relegation. Like, I still can't believe it. I wake up every morning not believing we're in this situation, but we really are.
Honestly, things are like every day is like we live in a nightmare.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's how it feels, and just begging to wake up. We can't wake up.
That's the problem we have. Is just like he's saying you can't see where the next wind's coming. We can't see where the next wind's coming from. But when you look at the teams around us, you know, they've shown ability to pick up points. We haven't shown that ability yet.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I think people are saying, yeah, we just need like 3 or 4 wins. Honestly, I honestly think there's not a terrible chance that West Ham and Forest both get to 40.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's impossible. And if that happens, then we're in real big trouble. Even if we do get 3-4 wins, we're still in it. Like, I don't. People are thinking, like it's like usual seasons. Like, you know, 38 should be enough. I really think West Ham have really improved. Forest have just got a new manager and they've got good players. It's not impossible for both of them to get to 40 points. There's 11 games to go. There's a lot of games to go. So there's enough chances to get points there.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I think it might take more than 40 for once. This might be the season where it goes to 40 points at least.
Well, if it does, we're in desperate trouble.
Yeah. Carlos Morales, 3K, says, Ben quote here, yeah, but we still bring on good players like Richarlison, Solanke and Tell. That, ladies and gentlemen, sums up the standards at this football club.
I mean, Richarlison, Solanke and Tell definitely get into the teams in and around us.
It's where the teams are battling with. Look, at the end of the day, I think the point was being made that everyone's talking about injuries. Yeah, we've still got some players to come on off the bench, which is fine. I think the main problem was in key areas where we're waning. I think that's where you need to replenish the intensity, and we just weren't able to do that with any sort of subs.
Also, a lot of people have been talking about this season our inability to put the ball in the back of the net. For the first time this season, we've got all 3 strikers fit and available.
Yeah.
So that's a positive, I guess.
Let's hope they. Do you reckon we'll ever see them all on a pitch at the same time? Probably not.
Did we not against Arsenal?
I think Moani went off.
Oh, Moani went off. I'm sure we will at some point.
Joe BM6, West Ham fan, says, welcome to the fight, lads.
Oh, piss off. Piss right off. Can't believe we're like sunken down to West Ham's level in a relegation battle, man. I always looked at West Ham whenever they were in a relegation battle, like, you're just thinking, at least we're not West Ham.
Yeah,
it can never be us. Like, we're saying, like, the lowest we can possibly finish is like 8th or 9th or 10th. Like, we're not going to sink lower than that, are we?
Well, you know what? They're still 4 points below us, all right?
Exactly.
So they got some catching up to do. We're going to be fine tooth and nail for this relegation fight, all right? They're going to have to claw it from our cold, dead hands. I think this is a Coventry fan? CCFC says, Championship football is a good laugh. Real football, real fans, come on down.
Oh,
He's a Coventry fan.
Mate.
Well, they're going to be overtaking us. So what do you mean, come on down? You're going to be in the Prem. So get used to losing, mate.
I did see some woman on the overlap. She was talking about like the state of fans in the Premier League and the state of fans in the Championship, and she's like, "Yeah, in the Premier League it's all sanitized. You don't get proper fans. The atmospheres are terrible. Down in the Championship, that's where the proper fans are. You know, you get proper songs, proper atmospheres." It did make me a bit excited.
Yeah, that's all we need. Maybe, you know, this club has gotten used to the glitz and the glamour of the stadium in the Premier League and prawn sandwiches and 5-course Michelin star meals and all these kind of things. Maybe we need that little bit of grit, that little bit of, you know, groundedness, humble. We need to humble ourselves. Maybe this is what the club needs. Is this the direction? We need a bit of a reset from the club mentality. We don't even get excited by wins anymore. Maybe it's, we can cheer every goal again like we used to. That's what we need.
It's definitely not what we need. It's definitely not what we need. Look, I'm the one of the biggest advocates for great atmosphere in the world, but even I would not take a relegation to get that back. Like, give me the prawn sandwiches, give me the terrible atmosphere week in, week out. If it means we're going to stay in the Premier League, mate, we need to stay in the Premier League by hook or by crook. If we get relegated, it's over.
If Spurs fold, are we gonna start a new club?
We probably should have. Probably should have. We are Tottenham TV. We are Tottenham FC.
We are Tottenham FC. Should we get going like Spencer FC grassroots level?
Who would buy a season ticket at We Are Tottenham FC? Tell me.
There'll be people. Once Spurs go down, and then it leads to the inevitable liquidation.
I'm down for creating a football club.
FC.
I think we should. I think we should do it. I think we should do it regardless. Like,
what do you reckon?
Let's create a football club.
You know, they did it with FC United.
No, we've already got someone in the comments that says he could be a striker. We found our striker already.
We got a whole 11. Put in the comments where you play, and we'll consider you. And put on, if you're a striker, if you can put your goal scoring ratios, metrics, that'll be great. We'll take your word for it. So just put them in, and we'll be on an honour-based system, a trust system.
We promise to make you proud. We promise to make you proud.
This is our scouting. Just put in the comments how many goals you score.
It's probably better than Tottenham scouting.
Shameless721 says, you had 12 days off. Arsenal played 3 matches in that time. How are they fresher than you? By the way, it's a fair point in terms of calls into question this 5 days off thing. You know, considering we are where we are in the situation. I understand we are in the shitter, and the players have had a lot on their plate, and they could have done with a bit of a psychological reset, a mental reset, and all that. But 5 days off when we're in a relegation battle and a North London derby coming off, and then they're complaining that Tudor doesn't have enough time on the training ground. It's like
no, but Tudor came in
Friday
after the 5 days off.
Friday he was appointed,
and they got back to work on Monday.
Yeah. But surely every second counts right now, doesn't it? Was 5 days off a bit much? Could they have appointed Tudor also a lot earlier? They waited. I'm trying to think now.
I don't think they had any clue who they wanted to appoint.
Wait, I'm trying to think. So Frank was sacked on the Thursday, and Tudor appointed on the Friday.
So the game was on Wednesday. He was sacked on the Thursday.
Was it Tuesday? The game.
The game was. Who did we play? Newcastle. Oh, it was Tuesday. Yeah, he was
sacked on the Wednesday. And Tudor was appointed on the Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had 5 days off.
They had 5 days off from the Newcastle game. Yeah.
I mean, surely you just if Tudor was, surely if they sack Frank, Tudor should be in on that Wednesday, and they're
should.
back
But
to work.
I don't think they had any clue who they wanted to appoint at that point that Frank was sacked. I think there's just. You know, they're just winging it, aren't they? Just going on feelings, going on vibes. You know, it's just terrible the way this football club is run. We know that. Every decision seems like a terrible decision, but the reality is, like, that 5 days off should not be excuse. There's no excuse.
No, of course not. I'm just saying, you know, it's a massive game coming up, and you've got limited time on the training ground to implement your methods. I think maybe 1 or 2 days off, but like 5 seems a bit crazy. And I understand it might have been pre-planned and stuff, but at the end of the day, needs must right now. Like we need every advantage we can get. And obviously Xavi stayed behind and continued working, but it seemed as though, all right, everyone's like, okay, we just need the time off, and I just need to reset and all this kind of stuff. And whereas we're in dire straits, and we need all hands on deck right now. And I think Tudor coming in. He should have got the players in and said, look, we need to start working immediately because we're in big trouble here and we need the best chance we can against Arsenal. I don't think taking 5 days off gave us that best chance.
Yeah, probably not. To be honest, we would have lost either way. So
I know, just the optics of it is not great. Hoopspur says, been a supporter for 45 years. If they shut down the club tomorrow, I wouldn't lose any sleep. ENIC have destroyed the club. We'll start following We Are Tottenham FC, mate. We Are Tottenham FC.
Yeah.
But yeah, so would you lose any sleep if ENIC shut down the club tomorrow?
Look, I would lose a lot of sleep, mate. I would, mate. Tottenham have been my life since I was a very young kid. Like, I love the club with all my heart, no matter who the owner is, who the manager is, who the players are. It doesn't matter. Like, we're Tottenham through and through. So this is who we are, mate. You know, we're Tottenham. No matter if we're good, no matter if we're shit, we're always going to love our club. So, yeah, I would lose a lot of sleep.
I understand what ENIC have done, but I can't. It's still too much in me. I can't let go of Tottenham. Nothing will ever nothing ever can be done will lead me to let go of Tottenham. It's just too ingrained at the moment in my blood.
Exactly. So, however, that's why it hurts so much where we're at, because of how much the club means to us and how much we love the football club. Like, that's why, you know, you wake up still, even in the moment we're in, still so full of optimism the day that Tottenham are playing. And I still look forward to the Tottenham games, and I love going to Tottenham. And then you get to 45 minutes in the game and you're like, what was I thinking before the game?
Close down the club.
but that's just what it is. Like, we're always going to love the club no matter what moment we're in. So this is just who we are, mate.
All right, that is it for comments. We have had quite a few comments about goal ratios. Big Thing says 24-25. I scored 52 goals in 25 games. That's a good ratio.
Bring him in, mate. Bring him in.
Billy Yid says I'm a number 10. Chris Ogomba says I can be in defence. All right.
Paul G says, wow, when the club is down, that is when you need to support. And look, the club do need our support more than ever right now. I'm not saying they deserve our support more than ever right now, but they need our support more than ever. And I hate this narrative saying, oh, I can't get behind what's going on right now, or I can't get behind the manager. You're not getting behind the situation or the way the club is run. You're not getting behind the manager per se. You're getting behind what you've loved your whole life, and that is the football club. No matter who, the personnel don't matter at this point. What matters is saving our football club from relegation. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter who's in charge, who owns, who's playing up front, who's playing in goal. None of that matters. All that matters is that the fans stand up for what they love, and that is Tottenham Hotspur.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. So I think that is it for now, people. Obviously, if anything does break or if anything does happen, any more PR bullshit that comes out, we'll be here to cover it first on We Are Tottenham TV. But thank you.
There will be.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.